Hi guys, in this video, I'll be talking a little bit about writing and a few literature guides that I might be looking into for my 4th and 6th graders for when they get into the 5th and 7th grade. Now, this video was inspired by a couple of questions that I got recently. So I'm just going to be, sharing about, some writing choices that, my kids made between the 7th, my high schooler, she made between the 7th grade and now that helped her, and some things that I were using and plan on using with my 4th and 6th grader on their writing journey. For my now high schooler, when she was in about the 7th grade and we were doing writing rhetoric Creole, she had a little bit of an interest in the classical writing style, and that kind of led me into digging into classical writing because I didn't really understand all of the different exercises and the whole program system at the time. But her interest kind of led me down that road, and I ended up purchasing quite a few stuff to try to learn, about, but it was worth it. Anyway, the point is that we were using a curriculum that had the classical writing in different books, and because we were behind, so to speak, we were using Creole, which is recommended I think for 3rd and 4th grade, and she was in the 7th grade. For 4th and 5th graders, and she was in the 7th grade. And the way how they have it structured, for you to finish it the way how they have it, you would have had to do like about 2 books per year. And we were never able to do that. We started Fable in the 4th grade, which is recommended for 3rd to 4th graders. And we were on refutation and confirmation by the 5th grade, right? Anyway, so it led me into looking into different, right, since she had an interest then into different classical curriculum that possibly had the classical writing in one book. And that's how I discovered the series by Eileen Cunningham. But there was also writing with skill. I did not have that in there's a video I made about a year and a half. I did not have writing with skill, not writing with ease. I did not have writing with skill in that video, but that is also another one that uses the classical writing style. In the end, for her, we stuck with the writing rhetoric, and I really do like that curriculum. If we were able somehow, to be able to complete 2 books a year, which I mean we weren't able to do it. So me thinking that us moving into book 6 or 7 that I had already as well, and thinking that we would have all of a sudden been able to do that wasn't feasible. Plus she started to develop other interests. So we stopped at book 5, which is writing rhetoric, and that worked for her, right? However, there is a little bit of a gap between just stopping off at writing rhetoric book 5 in grade 8 to what she's doing right now, which is nonfiction writing in high school. So what filled the gap in for her, right? What filled the gap in was she did a lot of independent studies. Writing is a hobby to her. So learning how to write, expository essays, narratives, all of that stuff, a lot of that she was able to fill in on her own. But I don't want to go deep into that. I did share quite a few of the different things that she was looking into. But in lieu of that, now, as I have been using this series with and I did a flip through on my channel. There's 3 books. They're all very small books. Now that I'm using this with my 4th and 6th grader, I mean, we didn't do that, but in lieu of, doing like what she did, after finishing off like something like this, if it is you didn't care to stick within the classical writing style and you just wanted to make sure that they can write well when they get into high school, I truly believe now that this can be a really good option to fill in that gap. I really like this series. I plan on finishing this series, God spare, with my 4th and 6th graders alongside whatever main curriculum that they're using. Plus they love this series. All right, this actually makes them enjoy writing, that is just a blessing. All right, so I would say if it is you couldn't finish, don't know. I do need to say the only reason why I didn't finish with this is because she is a college bound child, and I didn't want to run into any problems using a book that's recommended for 5th and 6th graders. If we had moved on to commonplace, in the 9th grade. All right, so there is that. So something like this, right? And then filling in between, like, say in the middle, somewhere in the middle grades before they get into high school, right? Making sure they finish like this series, right? Which is recommended for 3rd and 5th, 6th and 7th, and then 6th to 12th, right? So like doing this in the middle grades and then starting, you know, whatever it is they're going to start in high school, right? I really think that that will help. Now, everybody have their own perspectives, and I wouldn't necessarily give this to at least to my kids and have them do this on their own, even though it is a simple read. I think to get the most out of this, at least for my kids, I have to do it with them, right? But in doing that, and it's not a lot. It's not very in depth where, you know, it's taking a lot of time for me to do this with them, to be quite honest. This requires a lot. Requires us to really do this together, right? But, you know, I am doing this with them. In other words, going through all the examples that they have for the different narrative stories, whether it's personal narratives or story narratives, or, you know, opinion papers, going through the examples and everything with them. It's kind of repetitive after a while, but still doing it with them, and, you know, then having them take the plan sheets and write their own, and they're enjoying this. So this worked for my eldest. She filled in with her own resources, but this would work too. She filled in to understand how to write good narratives and expository papers. And now in high school, she is doing, well, first she's doing fiction writing and, no, non-fiction writing, sorry, that's what this one is. And she'll be doing fiction come next year by the same author, Sharon Watson, which she's looking forward to a lot, all right? So that was her writing, you know, journey so far. And it has, you know, she's doing pretty well. Probably in a vlog, because I don't know how it will come off having them read a sample of their and like an essay, but maybe in a vlog I'll have them read a paragraph or something from something that they wrote. I don't know, I'll have to look around and see if that's done. No, it would be kosher. All right, so for my younger two, we did writing with ease up to level 3. Oh, my eldest, she did do writing with ease up to level 4 in the younger grades, right? Writing with ease, before she started writing rhetoric, that's what she was using. She used writing with ease up to level 4. Now looking back, if I had discovered this earlier, instead of doing writing with ease level 4, which was useful for her because, you know, it did have quite a bit of copy work and, you know, advanced copy work and things like that I think was helpful for her. But, you know, that being said, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't have done level 4 writing with ease. I probably would have started this in grade 3, right, for her. So that even if we still didn't finish the series, we'd have gotten a little bit further, because I really do like this series. All right, so for my younger two, they started off with the writing with ease. Now, the writing with ease, I think it did help them with, you know, writing strong sentences. It also helped them with, or I should say first, it helped them with listening to a story, understanding what it is saying, and being able to put it down on paper, writing good sentences. And of course, you know, a story or essay is made up of, you know, strong sentences. So it helped in that way. But I don't feel like writing with ease really helped them learn how to write, you know, like to put a story together. But, you know, I wouldn't. So for the very early grades, I like writing with ease, but it's not really going to get them writing a story. After writing with ease, to fill in that gap, I was trying to figure out what direction to go in. And I did consider going with IEW because, you know, it kind of holds your hand, but I didn't feel like I could have committed to having to learn, you know, like go through the teaching program and whatever. So I decided to try this classical quills. Now, this building writing series that I just said, I think would be a really good filler between whatever it is they were doing in the early grades and high school. We did try this when they were in the 4th and second grade respectively, and my eldest was probably in about the sixth or seventh grade. No, seventh grade. Nobody liked it at that time. I had put it down for a year, and then I decided to give it a try again, and now they absolutely love this. My two younger ones. So for this, I decided to, once we finished with writing with ease, and I had to find a main curriculum, I decided to try this classical quiz that we discovered when we were doing classical research, and alongside this building writing skills. So right now, this is working very well for them. But I have to do both of this with them, right? It is dry, and it does have a few, little errors that I picked up, but they are picking up, writing styles that they're understanding, and that's good enough for me. They're understanding it. It is challenging enough, but it's not too difficult. But unfortunately, it is not something that I can give to them and have them do, right? I don't know if it is you'll find it, not interesting enough to work with, but I am doing it with them and they're doing fine, right? But this is what makes it where they are enjoying this together. I do believe that if we was doing this alone, they might be bored, if I'm to be honest, right? So this is working for them in the 4th and 6th grade. I'm hoping, God spare, to move on from this Quills 1 to Quills 2 when they get into 5th and 7th grade. And then 7th onwards, so my middle child will be, at the end of the about close to the end of her middle school years, when I plan to use the writing with skill with them, right? Now, the writing with skill is a classical writing curriculum, but it's supposed to be mastery. And because Matthew, see, I know this is something totally different, but the whole mastery system works with them. I'm hoping that writing with skill is going to work with them. And I'm waiting later rather than sooner, because my, excuse me, my middle child, she needs a little bit more time, So I want to start a little bit later. I think it's recommended for 5th to 9th graders. I think even the author thinks that 5th graders now might be a little bit too young to start that. But I think that the waiting until she's about close to the end of 7th grade, 8th grade, and then using that all the way through high school, that's the plan that I have with her. And for her, I am a little less, even though I hope for all of them to go to some form of, even if it's just community college, I am going to be a little less closed fist and overly concerned when it comes to exact grades, but more so focused on her making sure that she pick up as much as possible along the way. Hopefully that makes sense. So for them, where they're at right now, this for 6th and 7th grade and 4th and 5th grade, right? Because they're doing it together. And then they're going to be moving on to the writing with skill. That will also give me some time to make sure that I understand the writing with skill before they get there, because as similar to this, I would not be able to give them that. And I don't think it's meant for them to do it on their own anyway, but I definitely will have to do it with them. Like, to be transparent with my eldest, there is a teacher's book, and we do, like, she writes the essays. I have a manila folder. She reads the essays to me. We discuss where we think she can do better. I have an outline of all of the different assignments that she needs to turn in and all of that, but I don't like sit down and follow the teacher's manual alongside her. I have it to kind of, like, see what it is she's supposed to be doing and stuff like that. And if she was struggling, then, I have stuff here that I could reference. But that's how I'm doing it with her. So it's more so to kind of keep track that she's doing all of the recommended exercises. But for my younger two, when they get to that place, I need time to make sure that I'm actually understanding the teacher's manual so that we can have smooth running when that time comes, hopefully. Now, worst case scenario, if it is that writing with skill doesn't work out, I will fall back on writing the classical way, which is the high school series for this classical quills, right? So I would have done the classical quills 1 and 2 by that time. This has 1, 2, and 3 recommended for 9th, 10th, 11th, and so 9th, 10th is the level 1, then 11th, the level 2, and then level 3 for 12th graders, right? So in lieu of that, because I would have had some experience with her series, I would just, use this. Try or not, if it works, that's what I'll do. So that kind of wraps up, writing and, some things that has worked for us and what it is I'm hoping is going to work moving forward into the near future. Now, just to talk a little bit about literature guides, when my eldest was in the 7th grade, we did, signatures by Harcourt, and in the 8th grade, we did two literature guides by Progeny Press, just to kind of help her, because she wants to write, a book, just to help her break it apart, and, so she can, even though she was already studying the different parts of her story, and I didn't feel like she absolutely needed to do a literature guide, I thought that it would have been helpful for her to do a few. The Progeny Press one is pretty detailed, right? I wouldn't necessarily use those with my younger two. I think that will just be too much for them. But she was able to get through 2 of those, and we did some of the exercises in the Harcourt signatures. We actually enjoyed that one, right? That one I think is used in public schools, maybe, right? So that's what we did for literature, guys. Not necessary. It's not necessary. You could just depend on whatever it's in their writing, or if they're using a reading curriculum or something, whatever language arts. But that's what I did with my eldest. For high school, I suggested if she wanted to try a literature guide in high school to fill in maybe a little bit for her 10th grade language arts block. And I don't know if she's interested, but if it is, we do. I might just go ahead and use something from that we use, like from public school. Like I do have a couple of this. This one is I think it's 8th grade, so not this one. I believe I have the 3rd course as well, which would be technically 9th grade, but I'll just use that one if it is she's interested. But if not, we just skip that for her because I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Now, I do want to expose my younger two to literature guides, and what I am considering is this novel units. Now, I was looking at someone's video of this novel units for, I think they have like one for 3rd to 5th graders. I didn't use any literature guides when they were younger. I just like read aloud to them at night and discussed the stories, or like even my 3rd and my 4th and 6th grader right now. It's not like in depth breaking down stories, but they're level 4, all about reading. As they read this like it's not simple, the stories, it does, have them, analyze the stories in a very basic way, but I think that that's good enough for them for right now. And when they get into the 7th and 8th grade, I want to try this novel unit series. Now, I also got some from the Great Works, right? I have a few, right? So I have Esperanza Rising, Watson's Go to Birmingham, and Out of My Mind. Those are the 3 that I have, right? Recommended for 4th to 8th grade, right? But I only plan on doing maybe 2, one in the 7th grade, one in the 8th grade. The reason why I'm leaning towards this novel units is because it has like charts in there, right? And I find that they do well with charts that kind of help them to map their thoughts. The one that it has for 3rd to 5th grade in this series, I found that it has a lot more writing. And I'm not sure, I didn't notice any charts in the person's video, and I don't have one. So I don't know why it is the younger grades had so much writing and not like mapping. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't have one of my own. I just have ones for 6th to 8th grade. But anyway, I'm considering these because they have like these little charts. similar to the building writing skills. I like those for them. So we'll be doing a little bit of literature guides as part of their language / writing in the 7th grade. And most likely we'll be using this novel units series, right? I'll do a very short flip through. How long is this video? A very short flip through of one of these, you know, the teacher, not the teacher, the student, and teacher packet, I guess, so that you can see it, right? But just a little bit on literature, guys, because as I said, these are not necessary. There's quite a few available. That's just the one that I'll be considering. But anyway, hopefully this video has something that is helpful. If you have any questions or you have any writing suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you in another video. Bye.